Hello, we are live. Sounds good. Thank you for the emojis and welcome to the closing session of BioCI 2021. We are going to have a quick set of closing remarks assembled with the assistance of a number of people. And I guess I should go to present mode here. That'll probably be the best. And once again, many thanks to the organizers. It has been very smooth sailing, if you ask me. And Erica has been on board all the time. Many others I have seen many times. And we are very grateful for your work. The TAB and the CAB have contributed immensely to the ability of the project to have such a conference. We're funded by NIH, and we're grateful to that institution for its support. Our sponsors have, as Levi mentioned at the outset, made this the most accessible conference that we've ever had, and we thank each and every one of them for their support. To accomplish this was no mean feat, and the technology provided by AirMeet has been a great boon to this conference, and we are glad that we were able to bring them into this thanks to the generosity of our sponsors. The numbers are pretty amazing. 809 people participating, 100 speakers, 6 keynotes, 5 awardees, and we did some data analysis, and at least 54 countries are represented in participants of the conference. 72 scholarships, 623 workshops were launched on the orchestra system, 37 posters, 13 contributed sessions, 6 lightning session speakers. So really a tremendous accomplishment by all of the individuals involved, and especially by the organizers. The awardees, Leonardo, Edine, Laurent, James, and Charlotte, we're grateful for your work, and we really thank you. Congratulations to all. The posters and slides will all be published, and they'll have DOIs, and everything that has been contributed will be available through bioconductor.org for the entire world. The recordings of all the sessions will be available for you to review and to send your friends and family to. The AirMeet platform, which has the schedule and all the links, will remain accessible until we have moved all the videos over to YouTube. There's already a nice YouTube channel. You can go back to 2020 and see what was recorded then. So thank you, AirMeet. I've really been impressed by this technology. So the materials will be findable at bioc2021.bioconductor.org, and this will be updated, and we'll have the new materials. The workshops. So it's a wonderful system, this app.orchestra.cancerdataci.org, and we're thankful to Sean Davis, now of the University of Colorado, for setting that up, making it available. These workshops will remain available indefinitely, and there are lots of other workshops available through the orchestra app. And if you would like to add additional materials or use it for your own workshop, get in touch with Sean Davis. Mike Smith has organized a developers forum, and the YouTube user Bioconductor has records of all of those developers forums, fora that address a great many topics of interest And that's a resource that I hope you'll be able to take advantage of. Keep in touch with us. This is a dynamic, living project. Continue the conversation on Slack. You can sign up at the community BioCI Slack, and you can keep track of future events using Google Calendar, or just go to our website and take a look at the events section. And get involved with the mentorship program. If you need a mentor, come on board. If you want to teach folks, let's get involved. We'll mentor developers during the release cycle, which is October to April. And there's an expression of interest form open for mentors, open to developers with one or more packages in Bioconductor who would like to mentor novice developers. The Slack channel is Developers Mentorship. And I thank the CAB, who are principally involved with devising this program. So please make sure that you get a post-conference email and give us your mailing information so you can get the BioCI 2021 sticker, put it on your laptop. There will be a survey so you can tell us what worked and what didn't work. And there will be voting for the best short talk, demo, workshop, poster, etc. So all the links will be on bioci2021.bioconductor.org. This is a nice little phrase, don't code alone. Talk before you write any code. Come and talk to someone and see whether they agree with the approach you're going to take, and try to come up with something that may be a little better. If the code is already written, use it. Put it in a package. It's very effective to do that, but you have to do it. And solve problems. Make sure your program does solve a problem and maintain it. So to contribute and stay in touch, we have Slack, Tab, Cab, Twitter, email, workshop@bioconductor.org, cab@bioconductor.org. Many, many ways of being in touch. Now, I'm not going to show a 7-minute carousel, but you can go to this link and you will see it. A very historical review of many events that Bioconductor has been involved with. Now, if you want to go to another conference, BioCI Asia 2021 will be running from the 1st to the 4th of November, 2021. And it's hosted by the Riken Institute. And we have a link at www.bioconductor.org. And this conference, I've already seen some of the preparations for it. It will be wonderful. Kozo is really putting together a wonderful program, and we're glad that this is able to occur in November. Further down the road, the EuroBiose is a conference that I have attended many times. It's always wonderful, and it'll be 16 to 18 March of 2022. Again, come to the main website to find the link. Now, next year, we'll have another BioCI conference, and I hope we can all do that. It might be in Seattle, it might be in Boston, and the announcement will be made early next year. And I want to make a point that Levi Waldron helped me to remember, that the global reach of this conference is recognized by the project as a key value. And since we have participants from approximately 55 countries, we want to make it clear that whatever conference we do will have a low-cost or free virtual attendance capability for individuals who are not able to attend in person. So let's just keep this rich and extensive conference process going. Now, I want to wrap up. It's been a good 10 minutes. I wanted to talk just a little bit before we wrap up completely on the role of open source in the conduct of humanity. So, we have a code of conduct and it's for bioconductor, and we think about the conduct of our whole humanity. It is interesting to think about what open source is doing as humanity goes on doing what it's doing. And I'm going to make these remarks, which are just personal remarks, but the conference has had a big impact on me in thinking about this. And I just want to make clear that the paths going forward are many, and we have to work on governance so that we can come together to talk about our priorities and choose the priorities that make the most sense for the project and for the project's role in genome science. We also have to have governance so that we have good approaches to succession. When people move on, we don't want there to be gaps. We want there to be continuity, and governance structures are important for that. And if we figure out our priorities and we know the flow of people into this, we can keep current and we can keep adding value to the scientific community by carrying out the processes that Bioconductor has delivered over 20 years. And so we will be obtaining professional consultation on governance processes and developing documents that will be in the open that explain how these things are done. The other thing is sharing the effort, because the project is growing, but the resources are not really growing that extensively. And so, on a good day, I'm doing work that's open, and I contribute packages to Bioconductor that conform to the gatekeeping and distribution protocols without a lot of intervention from the core. And the problems that I encounter, I report them promptly and clearly, and I try to offer solutions. And I try to understand questions that are raised on the support side and offer solutions and introduce new resources to remedy problems. And I joined the TAB, and I try to help out with the CAB, and I contribute to community-based package review process. Well, I'd like more people to be able to say these things and feel comfortable with that. That's when we be sharing the effort very broadly. And we're trying to make it easier for more people to do these things and thereby make it easier for everybody to do what they need to do with Bioconductor. Now, this phrase, ROSCO, the role of open source in the conduct of humanity, goes two ways, right? There's humanity's impact on Bioconductor, which I was thinking about today, and especially in terms of structural difficulties that have kind of really been emphasized in recent challenges, let's say, that have led to tremendous protest and difficulty. And there was a remark about access to resources that enable participation. In other words, is your lab equipped so that you can work on a piece of open source software? That isn't right. That isn't always the case. It's often not the case. And so that's what I'll call unbalanced or inequitable access to the resources, the time, the computation cycles, the debugging help, the documentation, and so forth, that enable participation in Bioconductor. So those structural difficulties and inequities are something that we have to confront in a big way. Security risks are another big concern for me. So there's been a lot of bad actors out in the software world making attacks on software supply chains. So throwing packages in so that when you update your environment, you get a bad package that does something that you don't want it to do. How can we take the time necessary to insulate Bioconductor from these sorts of things? That's a lot of work. And we have good support from our institutions, but the challenges are also growing. Another thing we found out about earlier this year that was amazing is that there have been programs written that will just continually download things that they don't need from our resources and lead to egress charges for the project. So this is another, feature where, well, if we had lots of time, we could engineer things so that, these were very, very low risk events. And we're working on it, but the resources are actually very tight. So those are some of humanity's impacts, some of the darker ones that are a concern to me. And I think we're trying to deal with them in a reasonable way. On the other hand, humanity also has very generally been beneficial to the project and to the community. Institutions of learning and government do support many of us to do this type of work. And there are tangible and intangible resources that we take advantage of in order for Bioconductor to go forward. In the other direction, a Bioconductor has had definite impacts on humanity, open contributions to scientific practice, attested to by this conference with its many sponsors and many, many attendees from all over the world. So that's a good thing. The project is centrally concerned with education, has been doing that since its inception. And we note that the education is mostly graduate level, but it is expanding to have impact for undergraduates, and we're trying to expand even further. So that's another species of outreach. We had a talk from the Our Ladies founder, and that type of outreach is very inspiring and strong and improving, I think, in this project. One of the things I am also concerned about, I don't really know how to communicate this, is that the labor that's being put in is compensated at a fairly low level. There's a lot of contribution and development of what you might call public intellectual property, lots of code, workflows, and it works on all platforms. So that's a lot of work. Non-restrictive licensing. So it can be used all over the place. And it's really vital for organizations that have low finances and resources. It's a concern to me, though, that maybe there are users who are getting more value than they're putting back. And I don't really know. That's when I think about the role of open source in the conduct of humanity. Are people taking advantage of it? I don't really know how to reason about that. And so I just wanted to, have a quick historical return. So in 2003, this group laid the foundations for what's happened in 2021, where I'm hoping we can see the project as broadening competencies through its outreach, through its education, through the code, for inclusive and collaborative science worldwide, so that more people are heard and their insights are cultivated, so that the conduct of humanity is ultimately pushed in a more positive direction. So I started out with Bioconductor 12K back at the original, at the opening session. It sounded like an endurance race. We've made it to the finish, and all I want to do is thank you all and wish you the best, and see you next year. So I'm going to stop sharing, I think, and maybe there's room for some discussion. I'll take a look at what we've got here in terms of Q&A. So Adine, thanks to everyone in Bioconductor who volunteers and contributes. Mike Love, in fact, you were the person who raised this point in another session that I don't remember, but thank you. The unbalanced access to participation. It's a challenging issue, and you're right. Only a few places in the world will have a workplace which allow the amount of volunteering necessary to become a major contributor. So it's a great point, and I hope we can discuss it systematically and come forward. Now, I don't understand this one, CDSB, but you have some links there. It'll be in Spanish, and the videos will be uploaded. So that's awesome. We are definitely making progress in Latin America. Lambda Moses, thank you. Everyone who gets stickers. Yes, let's go to the Q&A. I'm looking at the chat. CDSB, did we get the 20th anniversary sticker? Okay. You have to let us know where to send it, and I think that's how you will get it. Okay. In case you know any Spanish speakers interested in RStudio workflows, Shiny, and scRNA-seq with Bioconductor, please tell them about CDSB. And what was the link on the previous slide? posters and slides are here. Just ignore the 2020. I'm reaching my limits. But I hope that all makes sense. So thank you so much for sticking around. 35 people at the final session. What can I say? Let's get together as soon as we can and have another meeting. All right. Bye-bye.